Welcome everyone! On my video where I made my own Launchpad, I commented and said that if we get 500 likes, I would make a video where I test out this Launchpad and play around with it more. So here's the video. In the first third of this video, I will simply be playing different songs on the Launchpad and showing off the light shows. In the second third, I'll be talking about the coding behind this project and how you can set up Ableton Live with your DIY Launchpad. And in the final third of this video, I'll be answering a few of the comments I got on my previous video. So let's get started. For this first song, I'll be using the Hello World example so that I can use my Launchpad like a piano. See if you can figure out what I'm playing. Now I'm going to use the code that my friend Potatox made so that my Launchpad can display light shows. I'm going to start off these light show covers with, of course, Don't Let Me Down by the Chainsmokers. Please note that I did not create any of these light shows or project files that I will be using in these covers, but I will link to all of the original Launchpad covers in the description. I will only be performing the first 15 seconds or so of this song, just so I can hopefully avoid getting a copyright strike. This next song is Unity by the Fat Rat. This song was requested by one of the people who commented in my last video. That is it for the Launchpad covers. You might have noticed that the videos were a bit shaky. That was because of the stand that I used for the straight up and down angle of the video. As you can tell, this was clearly made by a professional. Also, I'm sure you noticed a lot of cuts in the footage. I'll talk about why I did those in a little bit. Now let's talk about the coding. My friend Potatox was able to create a code that would allow me to display light shows on my DIY Launchpad, or ArduPad as he calls it. This was something that I wanted to be able to do, but had no idea how to go about doing it, seeing as I have very little experience in Arduino coding. So a huge shout out to Pototox for helping me do this. The link to his channel will be in the description along with the links to where you can download his code. Installing this code is extremely simple. If you made your ArduPad with the Arduino Leonardo or another USB native Arduino, then download the ArduPad USB native file. But if you used the Arduino Uno or another Arduino that isn't native to USB, then download the ArduPad non-native file. Once that's downloaded, open it up. Make sure you have the libraries MIDI USB, Adafruit Trellis library, wire, and Adafruit instrument installed. Next, select the board you are using and select the port that corresponds to your Arduino. If you're using the Arduino Uno or another non-native USB Arduino, then you will need to install a serial to MIDI converter that's compatible with an Arduino. I would recommend the Hairless MIDI to serial bridge application. That's what Pototox has been using, and I don't believe he's had any trouble with it. Once it's installed, open it and select your Arduino. Then select your Arduino for MIDI out and the MIDI in. If you're using the Arduino Leonardo, then you're already set. Next, open up your preferred music making application. I will be using Ableton Live. I do own this program, but to help this process be simpler for you, I will be using the free trial version. First, make sure your ArduPad is plugged in. Next, go to Options, Preferences, then Link MIDI. For the control surface, select Launch Key MK2. For the input and output, select your Arduino board. Make sure to turn on track and remote. For an example, I will be using the project file Unity by the Fat Rat. Under this tab called Light Show, I will select my Arduino Leonardo in the MIDI 2 output. If there is ever any tab where you can select something in the MIDI 2 output, make sure to select your Arduino. Now, if you did all of the steps that I mentioned previously, you should be able to play the song and see a light show on your ArduPad. If you want to change pages, then you will need to locate the chain selector for the MIDI effect rack and the drum rack. Make sure that you always have the same chain selected, otherwise the light show won't go with the music. So one reason you may have noticed a few cuts in my songs is because I had to change between pages through the chain selector, so there was a pause that I edited out. Another reason you saw cuts is because I got off beat a couple of times, so there was a pause in the song that I also had to edit out. Also, if you haven't noticed, I replaced the broken LED. I'm really happy I decided to do this because it was very unsatisfying to have all of the other LEDs light up except for one. It wasn't as big of a deal as I thought it would be to replace it, so I'm glad I did. Now let's look through some of the comments and answer a few questions. I think it's easier and cheaper to buy a regular Launchpad. So I got this comment a lot, and I think that most people didn't understand the point of this project. The point wasn't so I could own a Launchpad. I made this because I enjoy making electronic devices and making videos showing the process of building it. Yes, it would be a little bit cheaper to buy a Launchpad than to create this device, but it wouldn't be nearly as fun for me. Isn't it better to use some cheap Arduino Uno clone? I responded by saying that the Arduino Uno will not work for this project. The reason I said that is because in order to use a non-native USB Arduino, you will have to program it yourself, because the code made by Adafruit won't work with a non-native USB Arduino. But that was all before I had access to Pototox's code. Now any Arduino Uno should work perfectly fine. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, make sure to comment them below and I will do my best to respond. Thanks again to Pototox for making the code for me. I really appreciate it. I just created my second channel, so make sure to subscribe to it. Unless I find a better name for it, I'll be calling it EG². All the videos will still be related to electronics, but the projects won't be as complicated as the ones I'm making on this channel. But make sure to subscribe to it if you want to see more electronic grenade type videos. Links in the description. Thanks for watching. Adios.